Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome back to our class of Wicca 303. Today we are talking about the winds of change, and my goodness, those winds of change have been blowing with increasing intensity in the past few years. Change is always afoot, but I think we can agree, most of us who pay any amount of attention to what's going on around us, that we are living in particularly turbulent times. We see widespread chaos for a variety of reasons, and of course, that always tends to herald the end of an era. There's lots of excitement because a lot of possibilities are opening up, and not all of those possibilities are fearful. But there's also a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of things that could go wrong, and we're just not sure how everything will go on because you know it's there, and it's there in equal measure. There are pathways, good and bad, before us. During these times, people tend to look for very solid ground. They look for guidance, and honestly, we are no different. Now, as pagans, particularly witches, we have divination. And that is a very powerful tool that we have at our disposal. And of course, we have other methods to look for guidance, of course, consulting various pagan texts for wisdom, which that's a good practice to do in general, but still more so when things are uncertain, looking because our pagan ancestors, they experienced turbulent times of their own. They have some insight that just might be useful to us. We can meditate, we can pray to get those divine nudges and pray to be able to recognize those divine nudges when they come. But we can also break out our divination tool or tools of choice to get a glimpse of what's coming down the road. And of course, this will be based upon the energies that are around us, and we'll get an idea of what is a most probable outcome. Not the only outcome, but the most probable. So in order to get a clean read, try to approach all divination calmly, without preconceptions. Drink some tea ahead of time. Do whatever it is you need to do to where you are in a state of neutrality and you're just trying to know without infusing your hopes and fears into the reading. I know it's easier said than done, but this is part of the discipline of witchcraft, learning how to take hold of yourself and exercise self-control so you can do these things. Now, I want to introduce a spread to you. You may have seen it on some of my other videos. I do bring it out from time to time. I really like this spread. I've been using it for a couple of years, and I've been fine-tuning it. So as you can see, you've got these various tools. They're all different, and they're all circling around an inquiry card at the center. That's the hexagon. And the inquiry card, it's very much what it sounds like. It presents a question for you to contemplate. It's at the center of everything, so all of the other tools are going to be relevant to the question that is asked on that inquiry card, and it's at the center of everything, representing also spirit. Whatever card comes up, this can be an indication that a spiritual being is wanting our attention focused there. Now, the tarot card up top, it is in essentially the north quarter of this circle. It is relating to the earth element, material matters. And then we have the rune over to the side of the east quarter, representing the air element. So intellect, imagination, intuition, the big eyes that make use of our brain. That is what the rune is going to be relating to as it is informing the question. Then our oracle card, we have that in the south quarter, representing the fire element. So your drive, your motivation, your fuel, that is what you can bring to bear when answering this question. And then our Ogam finally at the west quarter, representing that earth element, representing also emotion that we are either feeding into the situation and into the question, or emotion that we will need to summon in order to do so. So that gives you a little bit of an overview of what we're dealing with. Then I want a few words about the materials that I'm using for this this particular reading is the inquiry cards. I've only ever seen one set of them. They are by Sylvia Nibley and Jim Hayes. If you're interested, you can look them up at inquirycards.com. If you like this concept, you can absolutely purchase a set from them, or you could create a series of questions on cardboard paper, cut them out, shuffle them up, and you can make your own if that's what you want to do. So don't feel like, oh, I have to go out and buy something. No, you don't have to. You could instead go out and make something. Also for today, we will be using the Wildwood Tarot by Mark Ryan and John Matthews. It's illustrated by Will Worthington. We'll be using the Druid Animal Oracle that is by Philip and Stephanie Cargom, illustrated by Bill. And he did different versions of his name on these products, but same dude. You can recognize his art style. Uh, Now, for the reading, of course, remember the inquiry card, the soul of the reading. Bear that in mind. Everything else will come back to that. The Tarot Rune Oracle, again, they occupy the 4 quarters of the spread. They represent the concerns of those quarters. And the goal through all of this is to see the integrated picture as one. And that'll give you a sense of not only what is lurking around in the ether, but what you might do to confront it. So now that we understand that, let's go to what I pulled specifically. And my apologies for the atrocious photography of the inquiry card. I couldn't find a photo reference to it online, so we had to make do with what my camera phone can do, and my own shortcomings of taking pictures. And in fact, that's so dreadful. I think I was wise to go ahead and bring it up here. You can see a little bit more color, and we'll be referencing that as we go through things. So basically what we've got an inquiry card that asks what is true for me. Then we have our tarot, which is the 3 of vessels or the 3 of cups representing joy. Then the oracle card, we have the hare, the rune is Gibo, and the agam is Adha, representing the aspen tree. So got our general overview there. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So, inquiry, what is true for me? So, this is delving into perspective. Everything's going to relate to how you are perceiving the world around you, which may or may not be aligned with reality, but getting a hold of solid facts, solid ground, anything that is concrete and absolute, that's very difficult these days. And a lot of the old institutions or old sources of information that we used to trust have proven that they really aren't that trustworthy. They have agendas of their own, and they have not been serving the interest of objective fact and truth very well at all. So in order to deal with the world around us, we are going to have to think a great deal about what are we bringing to it? What is our perspective? Because our perspective is absolutely going to shape our actions that we take later on. Also, I want you to notice the color scheme on this particular card. You can see the red stripes, you see a lot of orange, and you see that violet. This put me in mind of the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and of course the crown chakra. So the root is everything of the material, everything that keeps you tied to your ancestry, to where you live, things that are very grounding. Then, of course, you have the sacral chakra, which is the womb of creation in the literal and the metaphorical sense. And then at the center of all of it, you have that crown chakra, which is that connection to the divine. So what this is speaking to me is that if we're going to be getting a better idea of where our perspectives are actually on the right track, it will require having that sense of groundedness, having that clear sense of what absolutely is, that we can at least prove to ourselves, even if we can't necessarily prove it to someone else, and also our creative capacity, literally and figuratively. That needs to be in good order. And then that connection to the divine, we need to make sure that we have cleared ourselves up to where we are not missing any of those energetic nudges. So what is true for me? It is going to be depending also upon these things. Now, for the tarot card, the 3 of vessels, otherwise known in other decks as the 3 of cups, its keyword is joy. But what kind of joy? And the notes of the card has specifically made reference to familial and community celebrations, so the joy through that fellowship. It also talked a great deal about finding common cause with people, banding together, and seeing success through that kind of teamwork. And it also references healing from old wounds and finding fulfillment, specifically fulfillment within those connection to others. And then again, remember, this is at the North Quarter. This is material concerns. So who is in your household, who is in your immediate circle of friends, who is in your immediate connection, finding not just a sense of joy, but also a sense of security through these people and them through you, having that healthy equilibrium, that give and take. That's going to be at the core for practical progress in any sense. Now, our rune, Gibo. Gibo, of course, as most of us are aware, represents a gift, hospitality, but also oaths and personal relationships. This is a being bound with honor. This is tying in very nicely with the Three of Vessels because we are bound in honor with our spouses and with our families, and to a certain extent, even I would hope our friends and even our community, because it's this general sense of we are here, we are in the same place, we have very, very similar concerns and motivations. We need to band together for when to help us deal with things that we could not successfully deal with as individuals, but by presenting a more of a united front, having a sense of community and of being of a place that is going to help us all find success. Now, this is coming at us from the Eastern Quarter, so this is a thought, perhaps a pre-existing thought, but also a thought to introduce to say that. As important as it is to be a strong individual, as important as it is to be able to attend to your personal concerns through your own personal power, there are times when that is not enough, and to have the humility to recognize that all of these things do have their own natural limits, and that there's nothing shameful about turning to others and saying, we have some common ground here. Can we build upon that? Introducing that thought, I think that's going to be very important. Then we have the oracle, the hare. Very appropriate as the star is right around the corner. The hare represents rebirth as well as massive amounts of fertility. It also represents intuition, but also that idea of having balance. This is coming from us in the southern quarter. So all of that fiery energy, all of that motivation and drive. This is speaking to me that the motivation has to come from the creative capacity that's bringing on the sacral chakra colors that we see in the inquiry card, trying to find that balance, trying to make sure that um, we aren't bringing forth something in a sense of excess. We're bringing the right amount. We're coming at this through I don't want to use sustainable because that word has been so abused and misused by the environmental lobby. But are we bringing something that has the ability to go forward into the future and be successful beyond ourselves, beyond our lifetimes, even building up that legacy, having that drive for that legacy? That's what's coming to me from the southern quarter. And then finally, in the Agam, we have Ada, again representing the aspen tree, which represents overcoming obstacles, reliance upon intuition. And this is coming very appropriately from the Western Quarter, which is very centered upon our emotion. So, what is our heart telling us? Because sometimes when we're facing a problem, we just feel within ourselves, and it's not just the instinct, because it is more. It's more emotional than that. We just know what it is that we need to do because of the kind of person that we are. And also relying upon that intuition, trusting your gut for a change, saying, yes, I know people have their intellectual arguments against this. I know they have their pragmatic arguments, all this and that. But I hear what I hear within my own soul, and I'm going to be listening to it, and I'm going to flow with that. Very appropriate to show up for the water element position. So now that we've got these details, let's look at the composite whole. It's asking what is true for you. So what is true for us, I think this is oftentimes linked with what do we believe actually is required to attain success? Not what we have heard from other people, not what we give lip service to. What do we actually believe when we peel back the layers of our soul and admit what we truly think and truly feel in our bones is actually true? So what I am seeing is a lot of cooperative relationships, of finding tribe, being part of tribe, and living up to one's obligations within that context. You aren't, subsuming your identity as an individual. You're just being able to look past the end of your own nose, and seeing that way is, instead of just having to rely upon your own strength, of seeing that you also can lean upon the strength of others, and they can lean upon their strength in you. That is the essence of having a healthy reciprocal relationship. and knowing, when to give and when to take, that also brings in the that intuition that we see repeated throughout this reading about needing to rely upon that a little bit more. Things aren't just clinical, clear-cut logic in its entirety. Those play their part, but there is also something more human at play here. It is your heart, it is your spirit, it is your connection with the gods themselves. That is what is going to lead to success, and that is what I think is really speaking to it. This is what is going to help a person navigate through those winds of change by rebuilding the humanity that has been stripped away from us through governments and corporations and political movements, and even sometimes through science itself. As noble as scientific inquiry is, it does not mean that those who practice it are noble inside of themselves. So seeing that all come back together, bringing back the humanity, bringing back the spiritual to its proper place at the center. I think that is what is really being represented by the "what is true for me" question, and also how can this be effectively built up. So that's very much what I'm seeing. But it may not necessarily be what you see. So I would love you to take this spread and use it as an exercise, and just ask yourself the questions. Is this what you're seeing? Is there another interpretation? If you have these particular tools at your disposal, try this spread out, use them, or make something of your own. I think that's also important. Don't deny that creative capacity within yourself. And on the note of experimentation, please remember all forms of divination were new once. All methods of divination were new at one point. They evolved slowly over time. Some people had an idea, other people built upon it, and then we have inherited it in our modern age. Tradition make you feel like you can't invent something of your own. And in fact, consider this to be your permission slip to create your own method of using your tools if you so desire. Because when it comes to divination, and honestly, when it comes to any kind of form of witchcraft, the only question that actually matters is, did it work? If it worked, then you're on solid ground. If it didn't work, then you have to go back and troubleshoot. But that really is the only question that matters. It isn't, what would other people think? Does anyone approve me? Who will let me? Because, darlings, who's going to stop you? And through what mechanism would they propose to stop you from doing this kind of experimentation? Don't be held back. And another benefit of going this route is your intuition will be naturally attuned to what you create because so much of your energy went into it. So don't be afraid. Use your skills. And remember, divination is but one tool in your kit to help you navigate through life, including these turbulent times. And getting proficient at it, it can make the difference between, soaring on these winds of change, because all of this can be used ultimately for our good. But, if we fail to do that, we could get caught up in the tornado of the change. We could be ripped to shreds. So really, are you going to be the plaything of fate, or are you going to be a co-creator of faith? Because remember that the heart of all witchcraft is about being that co-creator of the universe, and that includes playing your role, putting your energy into weaving that tapestry of fate itself. So don't discount yourself. And don't shy away from the call. Now for homework, to be honest, when I prepared this, I didn't really think of homework. I think I'll just if you would care to, try out the spread that I created for myself. Try creating some kind of divination, whether you're using multiple tools or your own favorite tool. Just experiment with it. And then, of course, journal about what results you're getting. Look deep within. Rely upon yourself. Learn to trust yourself. Because remember, this is a Wicca 303 class. We are a world away from where we started in Wicca 101. And this class will be wrapping up at the end of August. And then, you'll be graduated if you've been following along and doing all of this, but you will also be at the beginning of your journey. So this is definitely the time to become more confident rather, about standing upon your own 2 feet and trusting your judgment as much as you do your intuition. So that's what I have for you today, dears. Comments, questions, concerns, complaints, leave them for me in the comments section, or email me at brigantiablackbird@protonmail.com, and I'd be happy to speak with you there. But that'll do it for now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.